Okay, the next thing that our face needs here is a mouth. So let's go and set up a mouth for this guy. I'm just going to hold down my space bar and drag over to the left-hand side, over to our miscellaneous pieces of rusted metal. And this sort of hexagonal-looking nut is what I'm after here. So you might want to zoom in on this guy, Command plus or Control plus there just a little bit. In terms of selecting this guy, let's sort of cycle through our options. Can I use the elliptical selection tool? Well, obviously no, that's not going to work, and the rectangular selection tool is not going to work either. How about the magic wand? Well, you could try the magic wand. I'm not sure if that would work or not, but what I'm going to try and do is I want to start using my lasso tools. And of course we see our lasso tools over inside the toolbox. Now, I suppose you could try your regular lasso tool, or what I call the freehand lasso tool. And with this guy, what we would do essentially is just try and sort of freehand a selection all the way around this guy. And as you can see, I'm doing quite a terrible job of this. So this isn't really happening for me here. So I'm just going to get rid of my marching ants here just by hitting Command D or Control D. Instead, I think what I'll try is my polygonal lasso tool. So go ahead and grab that fella. And this guy is going to create for us straight-edged selections, which is fantastic. You might want to zoom in just a little bit more on your object here. And I think what I'll do is I'll just start up maybe in the top left corner here. Just a single click, by the way. And you'll notice that I now have this little string connected to my cursor from the starting point there now to my cursor, and it's going to follow me around, right? So the idea here is to maybe come along down the edge, maybe about here, and then I'll single click there, and that puts in sort of an angle there, or a corner, if you will, and then I'll just kind of make my way around the edge of this object here, maybe something like this. Now, your selection doesn't have to be perfect. The idea here is just getting used to this tool here, the polygonal lasso tool. What's kind of cool too is once you make your way down an edge, you can hold down the space bar and then reposition your screen, and then as soon as you let go of your space bar, you're onto this tool. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll obviously just sort of continue along the edge of my object, just single clicking wherever I think the selection edge should change direction. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You might want to shave off a little bit of the object. That's just fine. And let's see, I'll come up the side here. Something like this. This tool here, the polygonal lasso tool, is fantastic for objects that have these hard edges. And again, I'm not doing the greatest job in the world, but again, the idea here is to get you used to working with the tool. And all these lumps here along the top, I suppose I could go around them, but, I'm just going to kind of trim them all off, something like that, just to kind of smooth it out a little bit anyway. All right, now for the moment of truth. The way that I'm going to close off my selection or finish off my selection is just by bringing my cursor over top of the starting point. And when I do so, I get a little donut right beside my cursor there. I don't know if you can see that or not. That indicates that I'm about to close my selection. And if I single click, voila, marching ants, right? Okay, perfect. So I hope that worked out for you. Zoom out here a little bit. Now we have the problem of getting rid of the center of the nut, or the center of the object, right? Any ideas there? Maybe I should get you to pause the video and ponder this for a moment. Any ideas for knocking away the center of this object? Well, I could grab my elliptical marquee tool and try and select out that center, sort of like we did with our rusty washer earlier on. I'm going to do something similar to that, sort of the same idea, but hopefully it'll go a little faster. I'm going to use my magic wand tool, so I'll head over to the toolbox and I'll grab my magic wand tool. And then what I want to do is essentially get the magic wand tool to knock out the center. Don't forget that the magic wand tool creates selections based on color. The center area of the object is essentially the same color. So I'm going to hold down Option here on the Mac or Alt on the Windows side. You'll see your cursor changes to the magic wand tool with the minus beside it, suggesting that if I single click, I then knock away that center portion. Perfect. Okay, great. Let's move this guy over onto our face. I'll hit the V key on my keyboard to switch back to my move tool, and I'll just zoom out here a little bit, Command minus, Control minus there on the Windows side, grab the object, and literally tear him away, pull him off of his background, and move him onto the face. Something like this. Okay. Now, it's entirely up to you how you want to set this up. You might want to leave yourself a little bit of space, something like this, or you might want to crowd it in a little bit. I'm thinking of putting a nose in here, so you might want to leave a little bit of space there. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well is you may want to use your free transform to rotate this guy's mouth around a little bit. So don't forget, our keyboard shortcut for free transform was Command T or Control T, and then I can just rotate this guy around. So maybe something more like that for myself. Of course, with your free transform, you can make this object larger or smaller, whatever you like there. I'm going to hit Enter to lock in my change, and then deselect, Command D or Control D.